then heard a horn and a bell. Thrash of wide wake near us. The sight of nothing in the fog caused fears. Would we be spared? He stalled the engine. The gray hulk slid past our bow, city-sized and close as clothes. Breath held, I stood enthralled. Behemoth off the shipping lane had known where we lay.
Been there. On the East Coast, Jersey, fishing.
For Emmy, I worked at a children's activity day at the park. I manned the station for the creation of fake snow from baking soda and shaving cream. Don't try this with your kids. A girl of 3 or 4 walked over with her mother. She was introduced as Emmy. I told her my name. She looked up at me smiling through a cascade of blonde. You're my friend now. She handed me a toy shovel. Here, you can play with me. I was glad to do so. After a while, she left me, but soon returned. I'm back. You can play with me again. She is headstrong, and anything that makes a mess, she wants, her mother told me. It appeared so. Emmy's hands were caked with the paste. It flecked her clothes, face, hair. I believe when Emmy reaches maturity, she will possess the ability to hold anything. Steel, rock, atomic particles, unruly men or women, bend them to her will. And I can't imagine her not in the middle of a mess. This is one of my more favorite ones. It's called I the Inept. I watched her from across the room. I admired the aptitude, the precision she exhibited. I questioned this ancient technique. Hereditary? Or something in their DNA, maybe? No. They are trained to proficiency from an early age. The rest of us can't do it. I tried to imitate, but a fumble. Appear foolish to her, I'm sure. When someone at my table has somehow mastered it, their face belies smugness. I will manage to pick up 5 grains of rice, but before I can get them to my mouth, 3 drop to my lap. When I look at my plate, estimate how long it will take me to finish, I know I am defeated. I lay them on the table, sheepishly ask for a fork. This one I was happy to say was published in a magazine, literary magazine called Thick with Conviction this past October. And it is called From Sonora to M31. If you don't know anything about astronomy, M31 is the constellation of Andromeda. Near midnight, after I slid cards into the mailbox, I stood on the sidewalk, looked up at the night sky. Not since nights spent years ago on a Mexican desert ranch have the heavens looked so clear. The planets and stars, such brilliant pinpoints. There was a temporary calm, a warm shower to wash away the chaos my troubled life the past 2 months. At midnight New Year's Eve, as everyone else I know, I thought, good riddance to 2017. I know this year has to be better. How wrong I was. thought of a poet's words. Poems are lives, written and born to die. I wonder if I am but a poem ill-written, words to evaporate from a page to Andromeda. Another serious one. I could be worth it. I walked the dog tonight, heard the horn of a ship on the river a half-mile away. I wondered if you thought of me. The crickets and toads had packed up, found protected places to wait until spring. You were in my head. Perhaps I was in yours. I observed the harvest moon, speckled like an egg, smelled the grain dust in the air. Maybe I was on your mind. The roar of a freight train at the end of the block rattled the windows, and I could have been on your mind then. I laid on the bed, my hand on my chest, felt the silent pump behind my ribs, thought you might think of me then. Not so serious. Of small injustices and superheroes. There are small injustices. The perpetually unrepaired pothole on Neck Road. The gym closing at 6 p.m. on Saturdays. The guy who cut me off on I-295 yesterday afternoon. The trash the teenage ball players throw on the ground at the park. The next door neighbor who carelessly lets nails fall on the street as he unloads his work truck. The utility billing error that costs me $200. The other neighbor, whom I know keeps my packages when they are delivered to her by mistake. The woman who cuts in line at the grocery store. There should be a designated league of superheroes to deal with these things. Life would then be more bearable.
That's your superhero.
This was me at one point, and maybe other people too, probably other people too. It's called The Amazonian. Friday night, alone as usual, laptop on my thighs, I bring up Amazon. DeWalt screw gun, $64.98. I could use one of those. Mine is 15 years old, and I paid $100 for it then. Add to cart. People who bought this item also bought standard socket set, $41.89. Add to cart. Place order. Saturday night, alone again. Pull up Amazon. Tactical flashlight, recharge through USB port, 10,000 lumens. Oh, I need that. Add to cart. Hey, here's a Geronimo t-shirt. That's cool. I want it. Add to cart. Nike gym duffel, $19.99. What a great price. I need it. Add to cart. Place order. Night after night, it goes on. My checking account bleeds green like a slit throat bleeds crimson. If I had a woman here to occupy me, this would not happen. Going to make your brain work a little bit on this one. It's called PS 333, and it has an epigram that I attribute to Dad. He always told me, pens are for people who don't make mistakes.
True.
Some here are brighter than others. Some are destined for the front row. They get to stay behind and clean the chalkboard, clap the erasers. Others are relegated to the back corner, a cliched cone on their heads. What we deal with is a thick test booklet. We have no clue how much time we had to complete it. What we observe is different for everyone. There are no true or false questions. That would give us a 50-50 chance. Too easy. There are trick questions, and some for which both all of the above and none of the above could be a correct answer. There is a school bell, but it does not dismiss everyone at once. It rings for individuals. As each is excused, a new student arrives for their first day, fresh, full of promise. That is, until they get their noses in that booklet, start to snap pencil leads, smear and tear paper with their erasers. Though there was no report card given us to take home or hide, we still know if we passed or failed. We cannot keep the good and bad marks from ourselves or from others. We know whether the strap waits for us at home. This is about domesticity, pulled in every direction. The pots and pans force me to cook in them, then bathe them afterwards. The laundry insists I run it through the washer and in the dryer. That's not enough for them, though. They expect to be folded and put in the closets and the drawers, too. The carpets cry out to be vacuumed. The linoleum floors demand to be mopped and waxed. The garbage cans scream to be taken to the curb. In the summer, the lawn gripes at me. It wants its hair cut. The garden hollers to be hoed. Not to be left out, the shrubs criticize me for not giving them a trim when they think it's time. Back inside, I listen to the doors nag me about changing their locks. The coffee table, wall clock, dressers, and TV stand wail for the need to be dusted. Meanwhile, the bed, my only respite, quietly weeps its linen tears because I do not spend enough time there. It's called Silence. And it comes from something that was said by my favorite poet. He said, silence can be a poem. Not around here. There are warbles, twitters from songbirds, honks overhead. In summer, nightly cricket symphony. Horns from ships or tugs on the river. At one end of the block, train horns and shuffles. The other, highway, cars and trucks, sirens punctuate the air. Jets and helicopters suck air. Engines whine, blades whir. Neighbors contribute. Dog barks, trash can bangs, door slams, slap of mailbox lids, kid yells, lawnmower growls, whiz of edgers. Then at 2 a.m., locked inside an insulated house, whoosh of heater or air conditioner, refrigerator groans, Quieter still, my breaths, impossible to escape. You have to be kidding. It's called You Have to Be Kidding. Recently, I bought new underwear at the local flea market. Yes, new. Okay? There are good deals there. At home, I opened the packages. They were hip huggers. That wasn't printed on the packages. I wore them anyway. Though they are soft, comfortable, they continuously make me feel like my pants are falling down. I should just throw them away, buy the Hanes tagless boxer briefs at Target, and be done with it. I see you watching me now as I read. You look to see if I shift my hips or legs. You wait for me to reach a hand down, pull up on my belt, or on the side loops at my waist. Stop it. This one, more and more lately, hits close to home. It's called Like Runny Eggs. We all do this. We see someone in a movie or television show, can't place them, or are wrong. We hear a song, might know the band, but not remember the name of the famous guitarist. Right now, there is a film on TV. A main character looks like Robert Young from Father Knows Best, but I know that's not right. Robert would be 120 years old. I've seen this guy before. Don't know his name. I saw Mike Farrell of MASH on a cop show. I knew who he was, but thought his first name was Perry. Perry Farrell is the singer from Jane's Addiction. Yesterday, a friend told me about a new song from Silver Sun Pickups. I said I didn't like them. The singer's voice reminded me of someone in another band. I had the tip of the tongue phenomenon upon me. It started to bother me, then bother me more. 3 hours later, the name hit me like a flash of lightning. I said loudly, "Yes, that's him!" Everyone was looking at me strange. It was Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins. I can't stand that nasally voice. It only gets worse with age. The stammering, the I know who you mean, but I can't place what else she was in. The accuracy of memory slides off our tilted plates onto the linoleum like runny eggs.
It's a good one for you, Bill.
Mad Scientist. I watch science fiction movies on Comet. Robots, cyborgs, cybermen, cyberwomen, death machines, mechanical viruses, mechanical limbs, time machines, life regenerators. There are turtles turned into sea monsters, swarms of electronic killer insects, massive electric panels, their currents used to kill the Hedra when Godzilla can't get the job done. Now, my son takes a lot of courses in artificial intelligence and robotics as he completes his master's degree. He works for a computer firm in California. They pay for his classes. I wonder what exactly he is doing. I know about Mom and Dad, but is anybody else here Catholic? Do you know about Vitatilis? You know the history of Vitatilis?
Sure.
I'll read the poem and then I'll explain it to everybody. This is called Vitatilis Reveals. I knew you would arrive today. Your stack of parchment reveals your labors on my behalf. I've seen the women arrive at the cathedral in their finery. They swell with news as brine floods fields on the Frisian coast. So eager to spill it, they bang knees getting into the pews and choke on the host with their distractedness. They are expedient and precise and efficient to the point that criers are no competition. The words poison the seas, the lakes, and streams and wells. These women believe the price of a stained glass window or a reliquary or altarpiece will ensure them positive results on their day of judgment. They miss that your dictations are commended to my hands, that the gate is a formality. Their words, evidence, and judge. St. Peter, merely a bailiff. If not for you, I would be but Odin without thought and memory. Take care of your writing hand. Allow me to sharpen your quills and refresh your inkwell. In the Middle Ages, there was this practice in the Roman Catholic Church that if you were wealthy, you could do whatever you wanted to, sin-wise, if you would buy altars or tapestries or stained glass windows, things like that for the church. And the upper levels of the Catholic Church didn't like that, going down like that. So they invented Vitatilis. And Vitatilis was a little devil about this big that lived in the church. And what he did was he sat up on the rafters, and during the sermon he watched, and when he saw these women gossiping or socializing instead of listening to the sermon, he'd fly down and land on their shoulder and write down on their scrolls every word they said. And then every so often he would take the scrolls to God for God to use against them on Judgment Day. So they weren't really getting a get out of jail free card by buying all this fancy stuff for the church. And it was just something that was invented in the Middle Ages, and I just thought it was really, really interesting and inventive. This one, I'll pass these out so people know I'm not just totally making this up. There's something behind my madness here. This is called conspiracy theory. On my patio is a patch of concrete right below the door that was once the foundation for a set of steps. It is shaped like the state of Ohio, except there is no depression at the north end to signify the shore of Lake Erie. I will take a photo and post it throughout the internet. Say it has convinced me to deny the existence of the lake. I will tout the stone as a relic gifted me as divine proof, just as when a lady finds Abe Lincoln's face in a slice of pumpernickel. I will expose Erie as a scheme started by captains and crews of ore freighters, claiming to have come to Lake Superior from Lake Ontario and Points East. I will sit with my laptop on the couch in front of the mounted trophy smallmouth I caught at Kelly's Island 8 years ago. Read the angry comments and retorts from fishermen and boaters and the geographically inclined. I will encourage and goad them, and laugh and laugh and laugh.
Yeah, I imagine you would get some comments on
Yeah.
that. No Lake Erie, huh?
I've got just a few more to read. I'm going to read a couple out of a book I was very lucky to be published in. It's called Gas Station Famous, and it is the journal of the Gasconade Review, which you probably never heard of, but you might have heard of the Osage Arts Community in Missouri, and this is their journal. They put it out 4 times a year. They took not one but 3 of my poems, and I was in the very front of the book. A very big honor. And these 3 are actually from a book that I wrote that I'm shopping around right now for a publisher that's all about my life out in the country over the last year. This one's called Carnivorous Signals. It took me a week to gain correct perspective, understand the significance. The howls mean some have made a kill, a warm deer carcass for a family meal. It is a signal to the pack. They identify the location, as do I, what field or woodlot. I now understand their silence means they are hunting. Could be anywhere. Awareness of every twig snap, every crinkle of leaves or sound along the creek line is important. They could be anywhere. Uneasiness dictates every flashlight sweep, wide as my fear. And this one is, I don't know how I arrived at this, but this one's called The Geometry of Agriculture. This place is a sheet of paper, sporadic pips from a pencil, the only marks. No busy sentences, no blocks of paragraphs. The scattered points, farmhouses and outbuildings, barns and silos, some freshly painted white or red, some left to gray over time. Thin lines connect the dots. Roads that border fields cultivated or left as pastures for livestock. Rectangles of freshly hydro-seeded soybeans. Triangles newly dragged with tractor and disc harrow. Trapezoidal acres, rows of sprouted feed corn. Guernseys mown low in indifference to leghorns and rams that bleat sporadically in a nearby paddock. Winds sweep across the land, passes of the springbow compass. Churn up dust as raked implements create furrows in dry clay. The sheet rests held by clips on a drafting table. The lamp suspended overhead shines hot during work hours, is off and cool now as tractors and protractors lie motionless. Just going to read a couple more. kind of silly, I suppose, but you'll get the idea. This is from my first book, which was 2010, called Big Time. This is called, I was thinking of a movie title here. This is called In the Garden Salad of Good and Evil. I like the way you vegetables. I kiss your spinach patch, the smell of soil furrowed and rich. Grubs cling to the dirt on your baby red potatoes. I stroke your asparagus bunches with the back of my hand in a way that says, come close, I want you. The fine hairs on your carrots so slightly tremble in anticipation. Sweet corn, sweet corn. I'll make a necklace of your pearl green peas. Your artichoke hearts say love, but your tomatoes say sensuality. I grip them firm, hands unwavering, my lips stained crimson from the juice of your beets. Succulent, succulent. Broccoli, cauliflower, endive, escarole, cabbage, cucumber, kale, chives, red onions, rutabagas, taro root. I can barely stand it all, can barely hold back. Cornucopia, fulfill me.
We're starting to get iteration.
Sleeping now.
What? That's what it's all about. Trying you people.
I'm going to read just two more, and these are from my last book, which came out last May, June, and it's called Gnawing on a Friend. The title comes from that picture.
A dog. Is that a dog? Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
That, and, you know, I always pun on sentences and words, and Rolling Stones had this song in the 80s that I always liked called Waiting on a Friend. And the line in the chorus was, I'm just waiting on a friend, and I just kind of a little
You're like,
bit
yeah,
changed it to I'm just gnawing on a
We can't
friend.
remember the 80s anymore.
This one's called How to Go. When the famous rock keyboardist from the 70s died, his obituary read, he passed peacefully at home, surrounded by family and close friends, his faithful dog at his side. That's how I want to go. Not, he was ejected from the vehicle. Not, his body was found 4 miles downstream. Not, the bullet entered through his forehead, or he choked to death on a piece of hard candy. Not, he was surrounded by a pack of wolves while hiking. Not, the aircraft crashed onto the runway in a ball of fire. No, he passed peacefully at home, surrounded by family and close friends, his faithful dog at his side. And my final poem, this is probably my most favorite of all that I've written probably the last 5 years. Just a little theory I have, and it's called They Wait Among Us. I've suspected plants for a long time now. I watch them, wary, untrusting. Calculated, methodically, they join forces. Their sheer numbers and slowness their strength. I've seen how they work. There used to be a concrete pad on the corner of Route 1 and Henderson Road where a gas station sat. Once the building was torn down, they crept in by the thousands over the course of a year. First, the weeds and grasses, then the bushes, and finally the small trees. They swarmed over the concrete and devoured it. What once was a place of business was now a field in the process of becoming a woodlot. Think about it. They look and act like no other form of life on earth. They don't require shelter. Many of their species thrive in conditions unfit for all other life. They have no brain or nervous system. They produce like no other form of life. They no doubt came here from out there, somewhere in the distance, long before we came into being, and they will be here long after us. They wait patiently, silently, to take over the planet inch by inch. Unsuspecting, we welcome them to our yards and open spaces, cultivate them, and provide them with nourishment. We even take them into our homes, treat them as pets. We have no idea that we harbor the enemy. Thank you.
Reminds you of your sin.